Hi, it's Paul Slatkus, Good News Planet. I'm speaking to C.A. Lee, and C, I believe, stands for Cheryl. Hello, Cheryl. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you very much, Paul. How are you today?
Okay, good. Shifting culture, revival, revolution, or ruin. Do we, the people, possess the majority sacrificial courage to save the United States? Okay, it's a big subject here. And I see here that you love America.
I do. I do. I love it so much, and it's a great country. The purpose of the book is to make, hopefully, other Americans love it more than they already do. Because if you ask any citizens, they'll tell you, by and large, they love their country.
Okay, that's good news. However, we do have this additional bit of information here, revival, revolution, or ruin. So you're concerned.
I am concerned, and I think most Americans are. I think that they feel that our culture has slipped and declined. I think that they feel that they can't trust the people that they elect to office, and in most cases they cannot. I feel that we've been told so many lies and heard so many bad things in general about our people as well as our country that we kind of step back and say, oh, my gosh, that's us. And they don't understand that it's a matter of manipulation of the population, and that's really kind of scary. When we have a great country and we have good people, we shouldn't be second-guessing ourselves. We shouldn't be second-guessing our faith, our culture, our country. We need to stand up and say, my gosh, we're good,
All right.
and we're a great country. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's so do we call this patriotism?
Yes, we do, Paul, and you know doggone well we do. Patriotism is, showing our love for our country. It's waving the American flag. It's putting your hand over your heart at a game. And if you see children running around, you grab them by the nape of the neck and you make them stand still and listen. We're not doing that. We're letting people just ramrod over everything that's good about our country. We're not showing it the respect that it's due, unfortunately. And that comes from home.
So where does it? Let's I know you spent a lot of time. You got a lot of pages in here and a lot of homework you did, and a lot of thinking on this. Where have we lost some of this patriotism perspective? To the point that I guess they're, I know buildings that will say we're not putting a flag out in front of our house on July 4th. What do you think that is? Media.
Politicians.
Okay.
The media and the politicians. I really believe that. The politicians will say, I'm patriotic, and I love my country, and, maybe on some level they do. But with politicians, it's about power and greed. They're corrupted almost immediately when they get into Congress, and that's really, really sad. And that starts at a local level, and it moves right up. The problem with the patriotism aspect is we're told that maybe America's not really a good country, so we second-guess ourselves. And I believe that all really comes more from the media nowadays than it does from any other source, and that's really kind of sad. It shouldn't be allowed to we shouldn't be allowed to burn our American flag. That should be, we should be penalized for that, for example. There are just many things that we allow to happen because we're free. And it's just not right. I mean, think about it. I mean, if somebody were out in the street in front of your house burning the American flag, how would you feel? You're patriotic, Paul. How would you feel?
I am patriotic. I don't like it whatsoever.
That's right.
It's a
bad
news situation. It's a disrespectful.
Our men and women die for that flag, for what it represents.
Mm-hmm.
So how in the world could we allow someone to do that and not penalize them? It makes no sense. There again, it goes back to common sense.
Complicated issue. Now, you broke down this book into different parts, I believe, and give us the overview and how you were able to, talk about the shifting culture in a logical and historical and present-day way.
Well, what I did was I went back to American history and did a review of that, and I included some brief American history in the beginning of the book. I talked about the Courageous 56, the signers of the Declaration of Independence. I spoke about the great documents that were prepared back then that we should be very, very proud of. And I put it in chronological order in such a way that the reader could follow the timeline of what happened from the beginning to today. And as you go through the book, hopefully, Americans will see that those beautiful words were meant for us today just as much as they were meant for the people of our country in 1776. So if they follow through there, they'll find, I think, a good base of common sense and decency. They'll also find some information that they're not going to like that's going to make them angry, might even scare them because it scared the devil out of me. And they're going to realize, again, that there really is good and evil in this world. And in order for the country to survive, in order for our culture to survive and to improve as opposed to becoming more progressive, I think, we have to make some basic changes starting at home, starting at a grassroots level, if you will. And if we do those things, I think we can actually maybe turn the country around in a better way. A really good friend of mine who happens to be a Democrat said to me that I was trying to take us back to the dark ages. And that's not true. I'm trying to really and truly take us back to where we were a decent people, where we had common sense and we said what we meant and we did it. And it's really that simple, Paul. Honestly, It is.
I think I got a cartoon somewhere on my website about common sense and how common sense, I think out of the 20 things, and of course, each one of them has had more ridiculous common sense than it could ever imagine.
Well, common sense and decency really are the fabric of our lives.
Right.
They really are. And if we could just get away from the progressive pandering, get away from political correctness, which I absolutely hate, and take some counsel from some of the greatest politicians and listen to their words, I think we can survive that. The question is, at what cost? We have the media pandering to us. In fact, they lie to us. They just absolutely lie to us. And that ought to make us angry. If we're not smart enough to do a little bit of research and check out what we're told, then we deserve what we get, unfortunately. We have a great Constitution. Some of the amendments to our Constitution need to be amended. Actually, they need to be repealed, in particular the 14th, the 16th, and the 17th Amendments to the Constitution. And we need to put ourselves back in a position, where we take control, absolute control.
What do you want somebody to do when they put that in the book? And now they've read it, and there's no way that they're going to be like sitting in the corner. There can't be, because the way you write and the passion that we're hearing verbally is the passion you write with. So what do you want them to do?
I want them to get involved again. I want them to use the love that they have, that I know that they have for the country, and I want them to start electing faith-based politicians. I want them to contact Congress, even on a local level or the state level or federal, and I want them to actually become involved. It's not that difficult. I want them to teach respect for our country and our flag and our symbols to their children. I think that's very, very important. And I'd like for them to be in a position that when they finished reading the book, that they know that they're not alone, that there are many, millions of Americans who feel the same way that I do and probably the way they do. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I would like nothing more than to be able to speak to my congressman and tell them exactly how I feel, but it wouldn't be politically correct. I could do it, and I know exactly what I'd say, but people would say, you can't do that. It's not PC. You can't tell them exactly what you think. But guess what, Paul? I could. If you asked me.
I think I could. I don't know. I don't agree with your friends. You could. And that's
no,
good.
I'm telling you, Paul. I'm serious. If I had my way, and if someone in Congress asked me, how do I really feel? Come on, Cheryl, tell me how you really feel. I would say to them, you have failed in your duties to our country. You have not protected and defended our Constitution. You have fully usurped the original intent of the Constitution to suit pre-planned agendas. You have not properly appointed or vetted Supreme Court justices. You have calculatedly placed us, meaning all of us, in unnecessary wars. You have intentionally failed at defending our borders. You have failed our Border Patrol and our military personnel. You have demeaned the country and her citizens through class warfare. You've given full control of our money to a private corporation and placed our country in great financial despair. You have spent the taxpayers' money fraudulently and recklessly. You have not properly controlled and limited our immigration policy. You have created unrequested entitlement failures for really ulterior motives, and exactly, they do it all the time. You have destroyed the American family and damaged our culture, and I would say you have purposely demolished our educational system. It's atrocious. You have increased the size of our government way beyond its constitutional authority, and I would say you have calculatedly stripped the states of their sovereignty, and that is sad. You have infringed upon the rights of private and corporate endeavors. You have unconstitutionally taxed us. You have deliberately blocked this country from producing energy on its own, and you have perpetrated the corruption of our youth. You have wantonly followed the plan of an elitist cartel, and it's trickled down. It's trickled down to where we're almost dumbed down and we can't even realize what's happening. I would tell them that they've deliberately imposed unnecessary environmental and climate regulations on us, and that they've allowed the United States to appear weak, amoral, and faithless to the world. We've become a laughingstock. And I would say that you've lied and you've misled the American people. You've stripped away our rightful citizenship, and many of them are traitors. And I would say to them that that I know for a fact they've been bought and paid for, and that those who have refused to stand on principle and fight are cowards. And I would say you have slapped God in the face while you destroyed our country. And when you are lying on your deathbeds, there will be no difference between you and Americans you represented except for your final judgment. Their job, I would tell them, your job was to remain faithful and to constitutionally represent us with integrity and common sense. Unfortunately, you will be remembered for what you failed to do for this great nation and for your treasonous acts. But, of course, Paul, I can't say that to them now, can I?
That's unbelievable, and you're not reading from a script. You are one passionate person. You know, you really, this is a very integral part of your being, and what made you such a, what is it about this place that means as much as it does, as I hear coming from you? And you're not running for political office. You're not running for the president. You know, I mean, you could, but you could have, with that you just said, you could win the presidency. What is it inside of you? Why? I know you're a grandma, you're a family person, the whole thing. What is it? Why?
Well, Paul, our country is a free country. We have free will, and unfortunately, sometimes we make really bad decisions, and we grow up. And as we grow up and get older, you know, we realize that, you know, we have to leave something behind. And if the last thing that I can leave behind to my children is a good sense of faith and patriotism and love of country, I think I'm doing my job. I just believe in my heart and soul that our country is good. And I keep going back to that I'm so tired of people, especially the elitist, if you will, and, you know, congressmen and the media. I'm so tired of hearing bad things about us, and when it's not true. You can walk across the street to a neighbor, and if you need something, they'll help you. We don't need to be told to do that. We're good. Basically, we're good. And like anybody else, you know, I've made my mistakes, you know, growing up, and, you know, and I'm 65 years old, and I'm in a position where, you know, I haven't had the best life in the world, but our country gave me all the opportunities. God gave me free will, and I love the country, and I love our people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just sick to death of people putting her down. It's just that simple. Okay.
Well, this is really inspirational for me, and this is good news as good news can be. And I'm honored to get a chance to share this with our audience.
Thank you, Paul.
I'm making this a special on July 4th, which is the anniversary of good news.
Absolutely. That's your anniversary. That's fantastic.
How
How long has Good News been on the air, Paul?
Well, 27 years we've been as our own corporation, and 14 years is Good News portion.
Oh,
of
that
it.
is great.
So, it's a long time, and I could not have done it unless I lived here. Well, maybe I could have. I did multicultural marketing and advertising many years, and then the Good News, and I merged them in together, and we are all together in this mosaic of a country, and that is actually the beauty of this country, the diversity, the same day we can eat 400 different dishes from 400 different countries.
Absolutely.
It's a magnificent people. I know people that have been refugees from countries. They come here, they're kissing the ground. They're kissing it.
Yes, and here, and you understand what you just said. People are still dying to get into this country. There's a reason for that, because we're a good country. It's not because we're giving everything away, even though we do. They come here because they want a chance, just like our forefathers. Everybody wanted freedom, and we have that here, and we deliver it in spades. The only thing that we do to some of our people is that we treat them like they're not well educated. We treat them like they don't understand, that they're not smart enough to understand what's happening, and that's really sad, because that's kind of a dumbing down of our citizens. We're not stupid. We understand what they're doing to us, and when I say they, I'm talking about the people who are in the media, and I'm talking about the people who are in Congress, and I'm talking about, the money changers, as I call them in the book. And those people are evil as far as I'm concerned. The ones who are trying to deliberately separate us and divide us, those are the ones that need to be punished. They need to be out of office. They need to be off the air. People like you, Paul, who deliver good news, are the ones we need to listen to. Those are the ones we need to turn into for news, because we certainly get enough lies on the air from mainstream media.
Unfortunately, It is so.
And I thank you. You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that immensely. We have 1 billion to 1 good news stories, and the world is good, and we're totally believer in humanity and the longevity of humanity and the resolution of our environmental concerns and any other concern there is. We have everything we need. We could feed everybody in the world. We just got to get, in my mind, our act together and become more worldly. And there's no reason for anybody not to get a bowl of cereal or a glass of water. So the good news is that there's millions of people doing it, trying to make it all happen. So there are an awful lot of people. There are an awful lot of people who want to do what's right, Paul. But don't be fooled into thinking that a one world, quote unquote, government is the answer. We need to be separated from other countries because our cultures are different. We've survived longer than any nation. And that says a lot, We have a good base, and we need to keep it as a good base. We need to remember that we need to elect faith-based politicians. We need to remember that common sense should rule, and we need to remember that we don't have to be a part of the entire world in order to help other people. And I think that's important. Be careful going down that one world path. I don't think that's a safe place for us to go if we want to remain a solid, safe country. Well, it's all good, and it's all worthy of thinking and thought process. Really, if each individual in the whole wide world is good, then we got a good world, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. That's got to clean under our own footsteps and make sure that each one of us are doing our part, and it's all good. Last question, Cheryl. What's good news for you? I'm in the process of another book. I found some more information that I might want to make some changes to this one. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a second book. I haven't made up my mind yet. And I have a fiction book that I'm working on, so that should be kind of interesting. And I have a couple of projects that I'm working on, which hopefully will help a lot of people. So there are many good things ahead for all of us, I'm sure.